as the ace agent for a world-famous actress. I took the money she paid me and used it to fawn over her frenemy. The whole thing blew up online. That night, the usually composed actress rushed straight to my door, not even bothering to change her clothes. How far have things gone between you two? Damn it, what is it you see in her? Tell me, and I'll learn to be that way. I stared at the actress in her ridiculously revealing nightgown, then glanced at the paparazzi frozen in shock behind her. I swallowed hard. I'm at her 36. Before I could get the rest of the sentence out, the actress was already tugging at the straps of her nightgown. Her eyes were rimmed with red, and her voice trembled. It's not like you haven't seen what I have. Just give me a chance. I was speechless. I was talking about the 36 gigs of industry gossip. I single-handedly built actress Rose Dawson's career, becoming one of the most sought-after ace agents in Hollywood. To the public, I seemed mysterious and distant. But behind the scenes, I had willingly spent 3 years as the #1 simp for Amber Scott, a trainee from some no-name girl group. He's a rich idiot who does whatever she asks, was how her fans described me. She treated me like I was at her beck and call. While she was up late, discussing scripts with some young actor, I was the one rushing to a 24-hour pharmacy to get her supplies. Both she and her fans were convinced I was hopelessly in love with her. But what no one knew was that she was just a pawn I was using to complete a mission. 3 years ago, a car accident left me in a coma. It was then that I became bound to a system. If I could turn Amber Scott into an A-list celebrity, I could escape my fate and wake up. Not only that, but I'd also receive a $1 billion reward from the system, making my dream of being fabulously wealthy a reality. I worked even harder than she did to make this happen. While she was getting cozy with directors for a role, I was drinking with studio execs until I had stomach ulcers just to secure her opportunities. I practically begged on my knees to get her apart, only for her to throw a diva fit on set and walk out. For 3 long years, she shamelessly took advantage of every path I paved for her. And, slowly, she started to get famous. Now, all she had to do was walk the red carpet in 2 weeks and accept her Golden Globe Award. Then, I would finally be free of this moron. I was so close to the finish line. But of course, she had to go and pick a fight with the actress Rose Dawson over some C-list male model. I frowned, staring at the headline that had shot to the top of every social media platform in the last 30 minutes. Hashtag pop starlet defends her man. Throws drink on L-lister Rose Dawson. Hashtag waiting for Amber Scott's groveling apology to save her Golden Globe nomination. Hashtag. Before I even had a chance to call Amber and chew her out, she called me. Mike, honey, you just have to help me one more time. It's fine if my career is ruined, but that means your 3 years of hard work will all go down the drain. After 3 years, she was completely used to me cleaning up her messes. Even now, she was acting casual, completely oblivious to how serious this was. I lost my temper and yelled into the phone. Do you have any idea who you just pissed off? Please, she's just some washed-up actress. What's so scary about an old woman? Besides, you're loaded, Mike. Can't you just throw some money at the problem and make it go away? I was the one who built Rose's career. I knew better than anyone the network and resources she had at her disposal. Amber's fans might still be in high school, but Rose's fans were now CEOs and members of the board. If Rose wanted to, she could have Amber blacklisted from the entire industry with a single phone call. But this brainless idiot Amber actually thought Rose had stepped back from the spotlight these past few years because her career was over. I was silent for a moment. System, I thought, can you please add a one-click function to report crime? If I have to keep propping up this fool, I'm going to have an aneurysm. But my life was on the line, and so was $1 billion. So, while I was cursing her out under my breath, the second Rose started her live stream, I immediately dropped some cash and joined. I logged into Rose's live stream with my burner account, and her fans were already in an uproar. The chat was flying by, and every single comment was slamming Amber for being disrespectful to a veteran actress. It made my skin crawl, and I silently cursed Amber and her entire family tree. Still, I hadn't forgotten why I was there. My fingers flew across the screen as I sent 100 carnivals, the most expensive virtual gift, to her stream. Queen Rose, I'm Amber Scott's biggest fan. She's just young and impulsive. She didn't mean to offend you. I'm here to apologize on her behalf. After the gifts went through, the once chaotic chat came to a dead stop. Knowing Rose, she probably didn't even care about some wannabe like Amber causing a scene for clout. All I had to do was apologize on Amber's behalf. Let Rose's fans feel vindicated, and the whole thing would probably blow over. But why was her expression on screen getting darker? Then, the chat filled with comments saying R.I.P. I was about to type another apology when a sense of dread washed over me. I glanced at the corner of the screen and saw the big, flashing moderator icon next to my username. My jaw hit the floor. Damn it, I was logged into the wrong account. I'd seriously screwed up. The chat, which had been silent, exploded. Holy crap, isn't that Rose's exclusive agent? Did that fake, innocent Amber Scott steal her man? What the hell? This is insane. Rose's own agent has been simping for her rival for 3 years? That's basically like cheating on her. As the comments flew by, Rose's expression turned thunderous. Even through the screen and all the flashy gift animations, I could feel the icy aura coming off her. You're my agent, she said, her voice dangerously low, and you're using the bonus I paid you to apologize for another woman? A chill ran down my spine. This time, it wasn't just Amber who was finished. I was toast. Ahem, boss, can I please explain? I was still trying to do damage control, but a notification popped up. The live stream had ended. Half an hour later, Rose Dawson showed up at my apartment in Chicago, her face like a storm cloud. She stood silently in my doorway, framed by the dim hallway light. Her beautiful eyes were glistening with a thin layer of tears. Her long dark hair was down, and she was wearing a white silk nightgown. Words like ethereal or breathtaking couldn't begin to describe the trembling beauty in front of me. She truly was an A-list actress. If any man, of any age or profession, saw her like this, he would drop to one knee and surrender completely. Luckily, I have decent self-control. After a moment of being stunned, I snapped out of it and smacked my golden retriever, Buddy, who was wagging his tail, fawning all over her. Hey, you dumb dog. Stop staring. Thank goodness it was just my dog. If her fans ever saw her dressed like this, they would lose their minds. As her agent, I was about to remind her of this, but she didn't give me the chance. When did it start between you two? How far have things gone? No wonder you've been asking for so much time off lately. Do you have any respect for me as your boss? I'm telling you right now, your vacation is over. I was completely lost. Why aren't you saying anything? Have you been planning to leave me for her this whole time? Does she pay you more? Is she prettier than me? Did she offer you a better 401k and health plan? Rose launched a barrage of questions, not even giving me a chance to get a word in. And don't think this means I'm going to give you a raise. Although, I guess a small one would be okay. Fine, if that's what it takes. You can have my entire paycheck. Rose's eyes were red, and her voice held a note of hurt she was trying to hide. Even someone as dense as me could understand what she was trying to say. But my mission for the system wasn't complete. I could fall back into a coma at any moment, and I couldn't bear to give her false hope only to have it snatched away. I kept my head down, unable to even look at her. But to Rose, my silence meant something else entirely. Say something. Explain yourself. Am I not better than she is? You said you like girls who were in shape, so I worked my ass off to get these abs. You never even touched them, and now you've moved on to someone else? When I still didn't answer, her voice started to break. You jerk, open your eyes and look at me. I squeezed my eyes shut even tighter. My inner voice was screaming, Lady, what are you wearing? There's no way I can look at you right now. At the same time, memories of our years together flooded my mind. Once, when another celebrity had a scandal, I casually remarked, an actress without self-respect is just a mess. After that, she refused to do a single kissing scene for years. I said I liked girls with curves, so she started spending hours in the gym every day. She was trying so hard, piece by piece, to become the kind of woman she thought I wanted. But she had no idea that my getting close to her was all part of a plan from the very beginning. I became her agent because I liked her. I said I liked curvy girls because I didn't want her to starve herself for a role. In fact, 3 years ago, I had been ready to confess my feelings to her. While I was lost in thought, Rose, her eyes red, pushed me up against the wall. Mike Miller, what is it about her that you like so much? Just tell me, and I'll learn. I wanted to answer her. I really did, but there was a problem. Could you first explain the swarm of paparazzi standing right behind you? Seeing the pack of photographers frozen in place behind her, my heart leaped into my throat. I swallowed hard and managed to say, I'm in her 36. Before I could finish, she was already tugging at the straps of her nightgown. It's not like you haven't seen mine. Just give me a try. I was completely floored. What happened to the poised, untouchable goddess of the silver screen? What was she even saying? This was getting ridiculous. But with the camera flashes going off like crazy behind her, it was already too late to stop anything. This time, I was truly finished. The story of Rose Dawson confessing to me and getting rejected went viral almost instantly. Hashtag ace-aging star actress, hashtag lovesick actress meltdown, hashtag the comments under these hashtags were all over the place. Some were supportive. Oh my God, it's finally happening. The ace agent and the famous actress. Could they be any more perfect for each other? To comments like these, Rose would cheerfully reply, "Thanks, I'll be sure to send you an invitation to the wedding." Then there were the nasty comments from rivals and haters. What a classic move from a washed-up actress. Guess this is the only way she can get attention anymore. This is hilarious. She's a public figure. Doesn't she have any sense of decency? Does she really think she can steal our queen's man? If you've got no talent, don't bother with these pathetic stunts. That agent is our Amber's biggest simp. She's going to be a huge star. A washed-up actress like you should just get out of her way, okay? It's true what they say, like idol, like fan. Rose hadn't done many talk shows in recent years, so her buzz wasn't at its peak, but her influence in Hollywood was undeniable. After all, back when Rose was winning so many awards she couldn't carry them all, Amber Scott was probably still a kid playing in a sandbox somewhere. But Amber and her fans were so arrogant, they didn't give Rose a second thought. So when Rose herself jumped into the comments to fight passionately with the haters, everyone was shocked. That night, she was so worried that not replying would look like she was backing down that she even took her phone with her to the bathroom. In the end, she argued so fiercely that the leader of her biggest anti-fan account was forced to set their profile to private. Rose became a legend overnight, earning new titles like Hollywood's Chaotic Good and the Queen of Comebacks. The haters went quiet, but a growing crowd of curious onlookers took their place. Random user. So Rose, who won the comparison? Rose Dawson. Smug emoji. You can question my acting, but you can't question my body. Rose Dawson. Mike, honey, they're asking you a question. Rose was puffed up with pride, absolutely determined to prove she was better than Amber. What good is a 36-inch bust? Your agent of 10 years still left you for someone else, didn't he? That was a low blow. The comment completely shut Rose down. Because of all this drama, fewer people were paying attention to the original incident with Amber. And just when I thought I could lie low until the awards ceremony in 2 weeks and finally be rid of that useless Amber, the useless one herself showed up at my door. Why did you hide the fact that you're Rose Dawson's agent from me? You're an ace agent with all those connections. Couldn't you have just had Rose throw a few scraps my way? The moment she walked in, Amber tossed her purse at me without a second thought and flopped onto my couch. She looked completely entitled, immediately launching into a string of accusations. I couldn't help but roll my eyes while mentally complaining to the system. Is this really your selection criteria? You think any piece of trash can be turned into an A-lister? I have the resources, but does this idiot have the talent to handle them? She's nothing but a pretty face, all beauty and no brains. The studio heads aren't stupid. Why would they invest everything in a flavor-of-the-month celebrity who could be irrelevant tomorrow? But complaining aside, I still had to carefully manage Amber until my mission was complete. I wasn't trying to hide it from you. Besides, haven't I gotten you every single resource you've needed all these years? She conveniently forgot about all the trouble she's caused over the past 3 years, which is common knowledge in the industry. The only thing she had going for her was a pretty face to fool her fans. If I had revealed my connection to her earlier, my reputation as an ace agent would have been ruined. But clearly, Amber had zero self-awareness. She muttered defiantly, "The opportunities you gave me were nothing compared to what Rose gets. For 3 years, you went on and on about how much you were doing for me. But in the end, you saved all the best stuff for Rose, didn't you? Unbelievable." My fists clenched. I had worked my tail off for 3 years to complete the system's mission. I had secured opportunities for Amber that were just as good as Rose's, and I'd even invested tens of millions of my own money. And in the end, not only was she not grateful, she actually thought I hadn't done enough. At that thought, my voice turned cold. "Just tell me what you want." Hearing that, Amber immediately broke into a smile. "I knew you were the best of me, Mike. I don't want much. I just want the lead role in Chronicles of Astoria that Rose currently has." Amber had, single-handedly, once again lowered the bar for how shameless a person could be. I'd heard of the project she was talking about. It was an adaptation of a hugely popular book series, with an all-star team from the writers to the director. The consensus in the industry was that anyone who landed a role in this film, lead or supporting, was guaranteed to become a star. But from what I knew, the project was a mess. Not that it mattered to me. Filming wouldn't start until after Amber's awards ceremony anyway. Since she wanted it, I figured I could do Rose a favor and let Amber walk into this train wreck instead. But just thinking about Rose made my head ache. Have you forgotten that you just publicly humiliated Rose? Why on earth would she be willing to give up a role for you? Amber waved a dismissive hand. "She's in love with you, isn't she? If you go and ask, I'm sure she'll give it to you in a heartbeat." She said it so casually, clearly thinking she had me wrapped around her little finger. When I didn't respond, she seemed to realize she might have gone too far. "Don't get me wrong, sweetie. I'm thinking about our future. You're an ace agent, and I need to have some impressive work on my resume, right? I just don't want to let you down. Because of the mission, I had given in to almost all of her demands for the past 3 years. Amber thought I was genuinely into her, so whenever I hesitated, she would dangle these empty promises in front of me. I stared into her eyes for a long moment before finally forcing a smile. All right, I'll take care of it. After all, I was the one who created this monster. Once my mission was over, it was only right that I be the one to take her down. After finally getting rid of Amber, I took a cab straight to Rose's house in Beverly Hills. The moment I walked through the door, a hand grabbed mine. Before I could even process what was happening, she had thrown herself into my arms. Her familiar scent filled my senses, and the warmth of her body against mine slowly chipped away at my composure. It was Rose. Her voice was husky and tinged with hurt. So you finally remembered I exist? What were you two doing last night? If you really can't stand to be without her, maybe you could just let me join in? My eyes went wide. Did she even hear the crazy thing she just said? Looking at this hurt woman in front of me, I felt a pang of guilt. But with this damn mission still incomplete, I couldn't selfishly give her hope only to crush it later. I forced myself to gently push her away. At that, Rose's expression fell. Her deep eyes stared right at me, a profound sadness in their depths that she couldn't hide. If you can't let her go, then why are you even here? Her gaze made me uneasy, but I took a deep breath and quietly explained why I had come. Rose was stunned, and her voice shot up several octaves. Mike Miller, have you lost your mind? It was bad enough that you used my money to apologize for her, but now you're here asking me to give up a role for her? Do you really like her that much? What do you take me for? Tell me, what does she have that I don't? I felt a wave of awkwardness. What? No, it's not like that. I'm not trying to steal your role for her. That movie is a disaster waiting to happen. If you take it, it could seriously damage your career. Oh, right. This movie is a trap, so I want to give it to Amber and let her fall into it. I nodded along, but then I realized how terrible that sounded. Rose's face was as dark as thunder. Mike, I may be a romantic, but I'm not an idiot. If you're going to lie to me, could you at least try to make it believable? I felt too guilty to look her in the eye, but I had to see this through. Rose, please, just trust me this one time. Once this mission is over, I promise I'll make it up to you. She stared at me for a long, hard moment before finally relenting. Fine, I'll give her the part. Before I could even celebrate, Rose pushed me down onto the couch. She pinned me down, her body pressed so close I could feel its softness against mine. But if you want me to give up the role for her, she whispered, it all depends on what you're willing to do for her. Rose didn't become an A-list star on her acting skills alone. Her face was a work of art. It was perfectly sculpted, captivating without being overtly seductive. She could look like an angel one moment and a devil the next. Even though I'd known that face for a decade, seeing it this close still made my heart race and my cheeks burn. I instinctively closed my eyes. But her next move never came. You really are willing to do anything for her, aren't you? I opened my eyes to see Rose's gaze filled with scorn. I was confused. Why was she so jealous all of a sudden? I swear, I'd only closed my eyes because her beauty was overwhelming. I wanted to explain, but one look at Rose, who was on the verge of exploding, told me to keep my mouth shut. But my silence only made her angrier. Mike Miller, you see how upset I am, and you won't even tell a little lie to make me feel better? Man, 10 years of my devotion means nothing to you, but you'll happily be her simp for 3 years. This sudden turn was giving me whiplash. Rose was a living embodiment of the saying, a woman's heart is an ocean of secrets. To stop her from spiraling further, I tentatively suggested, why don't you ask me again? Rose gave me an icy look. Too little too late. Your affection now is worthless. I've been a butcher at the market for 10 years. My heart is as cold as my blade. A man will only slow down my swing. That night, Rose kicked me out of her house, but she was true to her word. The next day, Amber got a call from the director of Chronicles of Astoria. And, of course, Amber immediately posted a suicidal tweet. My ace agent at Mike Miller really came through. Thanks for looking out for me, at Rose Dawson. The post was dripping with provocation, and everyone could see it. Unsurprisingly, it blew up on social media. This time, however, the comments were universally against Amber. What is wrong with Hollywood these days? A little bit of fame means you can disrespect veterans? People like her should be kicked out of the industry. After so many provocations, even Rose's most laid-back fans couldn't take it anymore. But the person I was most worried about was Rose herself. After all, I'd already pushed my luck twice by asking for favors for Amber, and I had thoroughly pissed her off. Now Amber was digging her own grave. If I went to Rose again, not even her lovesick brain could withstand that level of abuse. But then, to my surprise, I saw a tweet from Rose defending Amber. It's our job as veterans to look after the next generation. A little confidence in a young artist is a good thing. I look forward to seeing you reach the top one day. At Amber Scott, I was stunned. A second later, an iMessage from her popped up on my phone. Don't be obsessed with me. I'm a legend. Don't read too much into it. You're an ace agent. If your client is a total loser, it reflects badly on me, your boss. She even added a smug-looking emoji. Even through the screen, I could tell she was forcing herself to sound cheerful. I typed and deleted several messages, but in the end, I couldn't find the right words to comfort her. Meanwhile, Amber called. Mike, you're incredible. I've been sick of that washed-up actress for ages. She looks down on popular stars like us just because she's been in a few movies. But now, she has no choice but to hand over her roles to me, right? Rose never looked down on popular stars. In fact, she admired the ones who worked hard. Amber, however, was an exception. She was talentless, and her name was constantly tied to scandals. Naturally, Rose couldn't stand her and had been cold to her at public events. And for that, Amber held a grudge. Now that she had the upper hand, Amber was reveling in her victory like a true villain. I fought back the urge to vomit and forced a cold smile. Is that so? Well then, I wish you all the success in the world. I hung up and glanced at the calendar on my desk. The award ceremony was just 1 week away. Perhaps emboldened by her recent success, Amber became increasingly reckless. She was constantly stirring up trouble, picking fights with respected industry veterans who were no longer in the limelight. These older figures were already legends, so Amber's antics just made her look like a pathetic clown. Plus, most of them were friends of mine, so they didn't bother to engage with her. Her fans, meanwhile, grew even more rabid, promoting her relentlessly, trying to crown her the new queen of Hollywood. For a while, Amber was the hottest topic in town, and her tone, when she demanded things from me, grew increasingly arrogant. Don't think you're so special just because you're an ace agent. Without me, you're nothing. I made you who you are. I don't need you. You need me. Got it. I didn't argue. I just smiled and gave her everything she asked for. After all, if you want to watch someone fall, first you have to let them fly too close to the sun. The higher she climbed, the harder she would fall. With the award ceremony just around the corner, I got a call from Rose. That movie you set me up with is finally wrapping tomorrow. Can you come to the wrap party? I hesitated for a moment. She didn't know that I had written the screenplay for that movie 3 years ago, based on our story. I had planned to confess my feelings to her after it was finished, but then the accident happened. And so the film, which should have been made 3 years ago, was only now being completed. And now it was wrapping ahead of schedule. If you don't want to come, that's fine. Rose's disappointed voice on the other end of the line snapped me back to reality. Okay, I'll be there. I had no idea what she was planning, but I'd read enough romance novels to know how this trope worked. The more I messed up now, the more I would have to grovel to win her back later. Besides, even if she was a hopeless romantic, she also held a grudge like nobody's business. I was the actual screenwriter for the film, but we had put my best friend's name on it, a world-renowned producer. So, even without any advance publicity, the wrap party was packed with famous actors and directors. As soon as Rose brought me to the party, she made an excuse and disappeared. She told me to wait for her on the second-floor terrace. Watching the mingling crowd below, I was happy for the moment of peace. I was sitting back, enjoying the evening breeze with a glass of red wine, when a familiar, unwelcome voice came from behind me. It was Amber. What was she doing here? But knowing her ambition, it made sense she wouldn't miss a chance to network at an event like this. I was about to go over and say hello to avoid any awkwardness later when I overheard her conversation. Amber, how did you get that agent, Mike Miller, to be so completely devoted to you? He's an ace agent, the man who made Rose Dawson a star. Her back was to me, so I couldn't see her face, but I could hear the dismissive contempt in her voice. So what if he's an ace agent? He's just like all the other pathetic simps out there. All I have to do is say a few sweet things, and he'll bring me the world on a silver platter. Huh, I guess that's true, the other person said. But Mike is pretty handsome, and he's rich and totally obsessed with you. Have you ever thought about marrying him? Amber laughed. An old man like him? Please. He's already getting up there. In a few years, he'll be out of shape and reek of old man cologne. The thought of it makes me sick. He's fun to play with for now. Once I've used up all his connections, I'll dump him. The two of them chatted away as if they were the only ones there, completely oblivious. Amber even started comparing me to the various young actors she'd slept with. I always knew she was promiscuous, but I thought her relationships were consensual. She would even give her exes a generous sum of money as a parting gift. But what truly shocked me was when she admitted to crossing a line with someone who was underage. I fought to control my rage and screamed at the system in my head. Are you absolutely sure there's no mistake? You wanted to turn this person into an A-lister? For the first time, the system was silent. The system might have been quiet, but I couldn't stay silent any longer. If making someone like her a star was the price of waking up, I would rather stay in a coma forever. But I didn't move. I sat there quietly, waiting to see what other horrible things she would say. After all, if I was going to expose her for sleeping with a minor, I needed to gather evidence first. Just then, a hand reached out and grabbed my arm. It was Rose. She pulled me through the party and into a private room on the second floor. Then she turned to me, a triumphant look in her eyes. You heard all that, didn't you? That witch Amber is just using you. You won't find many women like me these days. A woman who saved herself for the right person. Looking at Rose, it all clicked into place. So you invited me to this party on purpose? Rose didn't deny it. Instead, she admitted it with a smug grin. That witch was the one who tried to steal my man first. What's wrong with me playing a few mind games of my own? Besides, I never liked her anyway. She's such a cheap flirt. I knew Rose had never liked Amber, but I never expected her to resort to such childish tricks. But I had already decided to defy the system. How could I possibly agree to be with Rose now? When I didn't answer, the smile slowly faded from Rose's face. Her expression turned dark, and her eyes grew red at the corners. She clenched her fists so tightly that her long nails dug into her palms, drawing blood. Does it hurt? I gently reached for her hand to look at the cuts, but she pulled away. My heart clenched, and for a moment, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt a mix of heartache, anger, and helplessness. A storm of complex emotions swirled in Rose's eyes, and her voice trembled when she spoke. What is it you see in that woman? Can't you tell she doesn't give a damn about you? Why are you humiliating yourself like this? This movie, it's our story, isn't it? The filming is done now. So where's your confession? How could everything change in just 3 years? So, she had known all along. Rose's deep eyes bored into mine, making her look so pitiful and helpless. You were the one who promised to make me a star. Now, I am a star. So why don't you want me anymore? I never would have guessed that this career-obsessed, seemingly heartless woman was actually a hopeless romantic. I opened my mouth to try and comfort her, but she cut me off. Don't say it. I don't want to hear any of it. Fine. You're the one who told me not to talk. I spent the next few days counting down the time, all while gathering evidence of Amber's crimes. I was just waiting for her to accept her award before I sent her to prison. But as it turned out, Amber got into trouble before she even made it to the award ceremony. The paparazzi exposed that she had been sleeping with fans and was also being financially supported by a wealthy benefactor. It all started when she was bragging in a private fan chat and, in the heat of the moment, admitted to sleeping with a fan. It was just a bit of fun. Did he really think we were going to be together? As it happened, the young man in question was in that chat group, and he called her out on it. Instead of apologizing, that monster Amber actually encouraged her fans in the group to attack the young man. Her fans, as if brainwashed, saw nothing wrong with her actions and launched a full-scale attack on him. What did our queen do wrong? It was consensual, so how can it be assault? You should be grateful you got to be with our queen. It's the honor of a lifetime. It got worse. Her fans doxed the young man. They leaked his home address, his school, his phone number, everything. The boy was relentlessly cyberbullied by Amber's fans and fell into a deep depression. His parents went to Amber and demanded a public apology. Even then, the situation could have been salvaged. All Amber had to do was offer a sincere apology, provide compensation, and tell her fans to back off. But of course, she failed to see that she had done anything wrong. Not only did she refuse to apologize, she actually mocked his parents. She then went back to her fan group and treated the whole horrifying incident as a funny story. That was the last straw for some of Amber's fans. They organized an offline mob and went to the parents' workplaces to harass them. The boy was young and impressionable, and he'd had a fleeting crush on a celebrity. Now, faced with insane cyberbullying and immense pressure, the young man took his own life. Even a most patient person has a breaking point. Having lost their only son, the parents were devastated and furious. They gathered all the evidence they had to expose Amber. But Amber was a monster. She hired thugs to go to the parents' home and threaten them, saying that if they went public, they would desecrate their son's grave so he could never rest in peace. In the end, it was Rose who somehow heard about what was happening and arranged for the parents' protection. The story quickly spread online, and both Amber and her fans became the targets of public outrage. When I heard the news, I was surprised but not shocked. With Amber's personality, it was only a matter of time before something like this happened. I just didn't expect her to implode so close to the finish line. The most surprising part, however, was that Rose was the one who had leaked the story. I just didn't accept your confession. Did you have to ruin my entire mission over it? But in all fairness, I completely understood why she did it. In fact, after reading through all the evidence, I wanted to destroy Amber myself. Drug use, sleeping with fans, tax evasion. I couldn't believe that the naive, hopeful young woman I'd met 3 years ago had been doing so many despicable things right under my nose, with the help of her team. As the scandal grew, Amber refused to give up the fame and fortune that was almost in her grasp. She showed up at my door in tears and immediately fell to her knees. "Mike, I'm begging you, please help me." I looked at her, my face a mask of indifference. "Help you? After what you've done, you want my help? If I were you, I'd go to the police station and turn myself in. You might get a lighter sentence." Amber panicked and grabbed onto my leg, refusing to let go. "Mike, you're the only one who can help me. If you don't, I'm finished. You love me, don't you? I may have never said it, but you have to know how I feel. If you can just get me through this, I'll marry you. How about that?" She looked up at me, her eyes wide and pleading. I almost threw up. I took 2 steps back in disgust. "I know how much you want me to win that Golden Globe. The ceremony is just a few days away. If we don't fix this, it's all over." I fell silent. "What do you want me to do?" Seeing me relent, Amber breathed a sigh of relief. "This is all Rose's fault. If she just backs down, I can reach a settlement with the boy's parents." Amber paused, then continued. "Rose is so in love with you. If you go and ask her, she'll definitely agree." I had to admit, Amber was a master manipulator. She wanted to use me to get Rose to back off. Then, the public backlash would fall entirely on Rose. With a little push, Amber could easily destroy Rose's career. Meanwhile, she would become the youngest Golden Globe winner in history, and her career would skyrocket. I never liked to assume the worst in people, but I understood the value of an A-list star to the industry's investors. Once the dust settled, the story of the boy and his parents would be forgotten, a mere footnote in the face of corporate interests. And even more innocent people would be hurt by Amber. "Mike, what are you waiting for? I'm the result of 3 years of your hard work." Her words reminded me that she was, indeed, the result of 3 years of my work. I was an ace agent, and I would not allow my 3 years of work to be tainted by her actions. He smiled to her. "All right, I'll help you. But first, you have to tell me everything you've done over the past 3 years. Amber hesitated. This meant putting herself completely at my mercy. "Mike, what are you trying to do?" I smiled. "Let's just call it an insurance policy for your past behavior." I wasn't worried she would refuse. Between her freedom and her fame, I knew exactly which one she would choose. Sure enough, after a moment of internal debate, Amber confessed everything she had done. The more she talked, the more horrified I became. The system in my head started making error noises. How could this be? Warning, mission parameters compromised. By the time she was finished, I don't know how I managed to send her away without strangling her first. "Are you still not willing to give up on Amber?" I answered the phone, and Rose's voice was heavy with exhaustion. "Did she send you to beg me?" "Mike, have you forgotten why you became an agent in the first place? You said you wanted to be the best agent in the business, to represent the best talent." Rose paused. "Are you really going to throw all that away for Amber?" I was silent for a moment. Then I snapped. "You've known me for 10 years. How can you still not know me at all? Do you really think I'm blind enough to fall for a piece of trash like Amber? All that acting talent, and you've got the brain of a golden retriever." Rose was stunned into silence for a moment. "Mike, what are you saying? Isn't it obvious? I'm in love with you." Now that I had given up on the mission, the only thing I wanted was to leave with no regrets. It might be selfish, but I knew that if I fell back into a coma without telling her, she would regret it for the rest of her life. As for that piece of garbage, Amber, do whatever you want with her. Destroy her. Before Rose could even react, I hung up the phone. The day before the awards ceremony, Amber Scott received a pair of limited edition rose gold handcuffs. "Mike, you set me up?" Even as she was being arrested, she still seemed to be living in a dream world. "Do you have any idea what you've done? You've just destroyed an international superstar." Maybe, if she were still the same innocent, kind young woman from 3 years ago, then with my help and the system's power, she could have been. After all, what does it mean to be a true star? It's someone who can be a beacon of light for others. But somewhere along the way, she lost her path. All I could do now was hope she would find a way to reform herself in prison. At least if she learned how to use a sewing machine, she'd have a marketable skill when she got out. With Amber in prison, my mission was a complete failure, but I didn't regret it. Through her, I had seen firsthand the destructive power of a toxic celebrity. I might spend the rest of my life in a coma, but at least I hadn't betrayed my principles as an agent. With a final chime from the system, my world went black, and I passed out. In the hazy darkness, I thought I could hear the system arguing vehemently with a being it called the Prime Administrator. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying in a bright white hospital room. The first thing I saw was Rose's face, etched with worry. "Oh, my love, you're finally awake," she sobbed. "If you hadn't woken up, I was going to follow you." Of course, it was the same old dramatic Rose. The poised, distant actress I once knew was probably gone for good. My mission had failed, but not entirely. Given my performance during the mission and my final, selfless choice, the Prime Administrator had decided to count my mission as a success. However, the rules couldn't be broken. In the end, the system sacrificed its own core energy to wake me up, and in doing so, fell into a deep slumber. Before it went dormant, it told me it hoped I would one day cultivate a true star, someone who could be a genuine inspiration to others. And as a final reward, it shared all my memories of the mission with Rose. It was the perfect way to avoid the whole groveling to win her back phase. Although, knowing what a hopeless romantic Rose was, I probably wouldn't have had to do much chasing anyway. To honor the system's final wish, I decided that if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. So I, the ace agent, decided to become an actor myself. The only thing was, after almost losing me, Rose became even clingier than before. She followed me everywhere I went. People online would mock her. "Rose Dawson, you're such a simp." Rose would reply, "Sour grapes. You're just jealous that I have a man who loves me." Thanks to Rose's shameless public displays of affection, I quickly became famous. Of course, for a long time, no one knew my name. I was just Rose Dawson's boyfriend. It bothered me for a while, but Rose seemed to love it. But as my own career grew, I finally shed the title of Mr. Rose Dawson. I started charities, did public service, and gave motivational speeches. I used my earnings to fund scholarships for underprivileged kids, helping them achieve their dreams. In my fan communities, I try to be a good role model, using what little influence I had to spread a positive message about hard work and perseverance. I preached against cyberbullying, and my social media comments became a beacon of positivity. And as for Rose, as my career took off, she stepped back from acting years ago to become a stay-at-home wife. I asked her once if she regretted it. She said, "I only became a star to get your attention. Now that I've got you, why would I want to go back to all that hard work?" Fair enough. There really is no cure for a hopeless romantic.